Welcome to my presentation on stress management. My name is Josh Allen. I've been in the medical field for roughly 15 years and management for 10 plus years. I've done various different things that have induced incredible amounts of stress in personal life and professional life. And so I would love to share all of the great techniques and different perspectives that I have learned over the years. And so we're going to dive into this and we're going to approach this in a few different ways. So, first of all, let's just kind of throw a couple of things out there. Let's get our juices flowing and thinking about what stress is. And I want to present stress in a different way. I want to shift your mind by the end of this presentation that stress is really an opportunity for growth. So let's look at this. Stress is a balance. It can be positive and or negative. Gets us up in the morning. It gives us the drive to continue to get through tough challenges. And it actually has the potential to inspire us. Have you ever been so stressed out that you say, that's it, things have got to change, and you actually take the proper steps to change your life? Now, we can look at that in a couple different ways, but the basic fact is it gave you the inspiration, the drive to change your situation in your life. Stress can damage the body and the mind. In fact, in physiological or anatomy and physiology, we know that our vessels, meaning our veins and arteries, are smooth muscles. So they literally are smooth for all of the fluid to pass through it. When we get inflamed, or when we get upset or frustrated or extremely stressed out, our smooth muscle actually inflames itself and it gets these little ridges on it. Then, as our blood cells are passing by, it catches little parts of it and it starts to build up inside of what should be a smooth muscle. Then, when we relax and our muscles try and go, our vessels try and go back to their normal state, that smooth muscle, that's when we have all this gunk that has built up in there, and now we have an immune response. We have to release a certain white blood cell that will go in and clean that all up. Now, this whole process has lowered our immune system and has damaged our body and our circulatory system just from being stressed out. So, with that, it can also lead to psychosis. What ends up happening is we are one of the few mammals that can go through a situation, be extremely stressed out, and then a day later, a week later, a month later, years later, we can think of the same situation and get stressed out again. And our body will have the same reaction as if it was in that moment and that was taking place again. Those psychoses will continue to ravage our body and will continue to produce the same results over and over again in our life. So, managing stress is a key factor in personal development, professional growth, maintaining healthy relationships, and a healthy lifestyle. Once again, this presentation is designed to help you shift. Now, I don't know if you've ever been through a workshop, but that requires you to actually do some work. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to ask you to stop. You can either pause the video, make a little note and come back to it. My suggestion is to pause the video, do the exercises so that this becomes very personable to you. It's not just a lecture. All right, so let's jump into a couple definitions. Now, one of the reasons why I like to go through definitions is because it can become very personable then to you, so it can set your mind on a clear path. So stress is defined as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. So let's throw a definition of management in there: the process of dealing with or controlling things or people. So obviously, we're combining these two definitions together to create our own perception, or better off, a topic, subject matter, so that we can be objective inside of it. So we all are facing strain due to this coronavirus outbreak. Now, let's go ahead and take a giant step forward and let's start controlling the processes associated with the obstacles we are facing. So stress and what we're going to do here is we're going to start looking at stress in its different forms, categorize them so that we can address them individually inside of our life, how they show up and how to supersede them. So we have physical stress, mental stress, relationship stress, emotional stress, financial stress, just to name the big five. Now, there are obviously broke down more than this, and if you have more, you're welcome to add to this. But mental stress and emotional stress, I think, are very similar. So, mental stress is the processing of information, and emotional stress is the ability to express your feelings. So, we're going to dive deeper into each one of these. Now, as we move forward, awareness is going to be the key to overcoming any form of stress. Now, I want to stop here for a quick moment and really look at what awareness is. If you haven't ever done any exercises that heighten your awareness or expand your awareness, I want you to key into that today and really start focusing on what awareness really is. Awareness is simply the process of being conscious. So I'll give you some tools a little bit later on that, but I really want you to stop right now and become very conscious in this moment. I want you to become aware of your feelings, of everything that's going on around you. I want you to become aware of the thoughts in your mind, just to heighten your consciousness, heighten your state of awareness. Now, list all the stresses that you are feeling right now in your current state. So if you go back to the previous slide and you look at physical, list all the stresses that are you're going through in a physical state. Look at all the stresses that you're going through in your mental stress. Look at all the stresses that you have in your relationships and your emotions and your finances. And what we're going to do then is start to bridge out of this. So I want you to pause right now and write down at least one that is happening for each one of those stresses. Okay, hopefully you've done that. Think about the things in your environment that causes these stresses to inflame. What are the triggers that set these off? Now think about the thought patterns that cause you to feel more stress. Now write them down next to each one of these. So let me give you a couple examples. So if you're in a emotional state of doubt or fear, then think about the thought patterns that come with that, right? Do you feel inadequate? Do you feel overwhelmed? What are those processes that take over? And now write those down next to each one of those stresses. And if you want, spend a few minutes really exploring how your thoughts and feelings go once these stresses start to impede into your reality. Okay? Now, intention goes hand in hand with awareness. If you do not set an intention, then you are going to be at the mercy of your environment. But when you know what you're up to, when you have purpose, then you can drive your ship. Then you can constantly be working towards something to come out of that particular situation. So, right now, hopefully, you're starting to feel that shift where you now know all of these stressors that are at hand. You now know the different thought patterns and the different emotional states that kind of attach to those and start driving you. And now we're going to start taking a step further on what it is we desire to see out of these. What do we want to respond to certain situations and stresses as? Or what type of emotion do we want to hold the next time that stress comes into our reality in our life? So you must set your intentions before you embark on any endeavor, and managing your stress requires clear intentions. So what I mean by that is we can't waver. Once we know what we want from something, once we know what we're getting, now we can make adjustments. That adjustments are key to success. But we don't want to waver, well, we kind of want to see this, we kind of want to see that. No, if we want to see a part of this and we want to see a part of that, let's put that together and let's make that our clear intention. So now I want you to take a moment and write as many intentions down that you have next to the stresses, how you want to show up, how you want to be the next time that stress starts to push on you and push into your life. It can be as simple as just wanting to feel good or happy. Now, try to avoid negatives, meaning that there's two things to this, meaning that you're giving away your power and that you're actually focusing on the negative. So what I mean by that is, let's say that I am working from home and my children consistently and constantly come in and interrupt my workflow. So instead of saying that I don't want my children to interrupt anymore, that's, see how I'm focusing on the negative. I'm not focusing on a solution when I say that. So the solution can be that I set time out when my day is over, or during lunch, or all of the above, that I'm going to spend that time with my children. So my children now know that those are the times that we're going to do things, and they can look forward to it. They can set up board games, they can set up video games, they can set up movies. They can then start to design the agenda for when we get to meet. And that way, when they do come in and start to impede or interrupt my workflow, I can then remind them, hey, just a few hours. Have you guys looked at what game we're going to play today? Have you guys looked at what movie we're going to watch together? And now my intention is clear. My intention is that I want to spend time with them. I want to give them the personability that they deserve and that I want to fulfill as being a great dad. And now I can really focus on work. And now I have subsided one of the major stresses that comes in and messes with my entire workflow. But I can constantly and consistently stay with my intention, and I can not be focusing on the negative. Because you know what happens if I continue to focus on them bursting in? Every time they burst in, I'm going to have an automatic response of being upset, of maybe even attacking, maybe even acting in ways that I don't want to act. So hopefully that's a good enough life scenario that you can start to see how to put this together. Now let's go forward and let's look at each one of these stresses. Oh, excuse me, before we get into each stress, let's look at a great way to plan. And I was already kind of alluding to that. So once we become aware of it, once we set our attentions, now let's make plans, right? Like planning on spending time with the children at certain points, carving that time out of the day just for them. So planning is the way to take control over and manage stress. Looking at the list you just made, let's design a plan to turn each stress into a positive growing experience. For example, if you're feeling physically stressed from sitting in one place, or if you're having stress show up in your neck or back, let's take time to stretch. Let's plan stretches. Let's set an alarm to get up and stretch every 2 to 4 hours. Plan to work out every day, even if it's just walking around the block, and then stretching. If sleeping has become a challenge, set a bedtime schedule. Stop eating and taking caffeine several hours before your bedtime. Listen to relaxing music and wind down from your day. Do the proper things. But here's what I really want you to take from this is that you must plan this time. You must set that intention. You must know what you're going to do during that time. And that requires planning and conscious thought and awareness. Whatever it is that is stressing you, now take control over it, manage it, look at how you're going to do with it. And then, like I said earlier, be open to adjustments. So you may put a plan in action and then after a few days realize, you know what, that's just not working because A, the timing of it's not right. B, the way that I'm trying to execute the action inside of it isn't right, and then make the adjustments to it. It's wonderful to grow inside of this. You will discover so much about yourself and about everything around you when you continue to be flexible and moving your plan forward to keep in line with your intentions. So the most important part of managing your stress is sticking to your plan. When your alarm goes off for an event you have pre-planned, don't think, just act. There's a 5-second rule. You have complete conscious control when you have your initial thought. But after you start counting down up to basically 3 to 5 seconds, your pre-programmed response will then take over. So for example, if getting up in the mornings is difficult, when your alarm gets off, set it across the room. Once it goes off, you get up out of bed, go turn off your alarm. Do not crawl back in bed. You're going to have about 3 seconds where your day starts and you go, okay, I can do this, I can do that. But if you don't take action within those 3 to 5 seconds, all of a sudden your pre-programming is going to kick in and it's going to say, man, the bed is so warm. I could really get another half an hour of sleep and I could still make it to work on time. And it's going to literally start to sabotage you. So you must stay focused. Now, what's really nice is we are habitual creatures. We make habits and we stick to them. So after you've done this for a certain amount of time, getting up is going to become a lot easier. It's going to become the pre-programmed response, and then you won't have to work as hard. But right now, when we're trying to manage and overcome our stress, we're going to have to put forward that work, that effort, and that energy to do so. Now, there's a natural compounding effect that takes place, and I just alluded to it, right? It becomes your natural. Start small and continue to add to your plan every day. If you've been walking around the block, try a block and a half after a couple of days. Maybe try walking faster, hold stretches longer, add stretches, add exercises, etc. Focus on positive and progressive thoughts and outcomes, meaning that if you fail to meet one of your goals or if you fail to meet one of your plans or something happens, that's okay. Look at it from an objective perspective. Look at it as, okay, how did this knock me off? How am I going to get back in line with my intentions? And then adjust your plan to that. Never ever get caught up in the negative. Never get stuck in what was the failure. Always be moving forward and progressing. And sometimes this takes some glitter. Sometimes this takes some sugar. Sometimes you need to be very gentle with yourself and you need to be gentle with everything that's happening around you. Let me take this to a real life perspective. The coronavirus hit. We are now being asked to stay indoors, to social distance, and to my knowledge, none of us have really been through this before. This is all brand new. When something brand new happens, our body is constantly, or excuse me, our mind is constantly searching for different ways to cope with that. Now, that's an added stress, that's an added anxiety, that's not part of your normal routine. So be gentle with that. Be open to that, and it's okay. We are going to get through this. My wonderful president, Miss Dean, said the other day, "This is not the end all be all. At some point, life will resume. So sugar that, sprinkle that glitter on that. Know that this is going to pass." All right, so let's talk specifically about mental health. Mental health can be difficult to keep up with when you're stuck at home. Produces challenges that bring you a sense of produce challenges that bring you a sense of accomplishment and enjoyment. Listen, following your plan. Every time your alarm goes off and you go, okay, time to stretch a little bit, or time to drink extra water, or time to go for a walk, or time to spend time with my children, or time to have some fun, or time to meditate. Every time you stop and you honor your plan, celebrate that. Give yourself that energy. Yes, we did it. Yes, this is an accomplishment. It doesn't matter how small the accomplishment is. Get yourself into a rhythmic pattern of making accomplishments, celebrating those accomplishments, so that becomes your general mind state. Read a book, play brain games. Lumosity is a perfect example of that. It's free. Play games with your family that require strategy, that requires you to think, write, journal, find ways to create art, arts and crafts, etc. Whatever you do, don't just turn into a zombie and stare at the TV. You want to keep your mental health going. You want to keep your ability to reason, to have logic, to analyze, to all of this is like a muscle. We want to keep exercising it. Now, write down a schedule for the rest of this week. Plan a certain amount of time every day to incorporate a mental health activity and event. When that time comes, drop everything and act. So obviously, don't make this plan during your working time. Don't make this plan during your get up and exercise time, right? Make sure that you are planning for success. Okay, so right now, take a moment and write down what you're going to do and the time that you're going to do it at. Okay, next stress, relationship stress. Now, this has multiple areas to focus on because we must manage our relationships with our spouse, our children, our neighbors, our coworkers, ourselves, our family. We need to do something for someone else. And that's the key to relationships. So plan to cook dinner or watch your child's favorite show or video game with them. Offer to help with projects. This could be your neighbor, your family. Just plan time to be available for those around you. This is a key aspect in relationships. When you're with them, create space and be fully present with them. Now let me expand on that thought a little bit because so often we're jumping from one thought to the next thought to the next thought, and we're never really even giving our mind space. When you're with somebody, you have an opportunity to raise your awareness and give space to them, give space to the conversation, to allow for more things to come into that moment than just your next thought, just your automatic thought. You can give them this extra ability and consciousness just by creating that space. Now, this may not be natural. It wasn't to me when I was first introduced to this theory or to this practice, and it took me a minute or two. But once I started realizing that giving space is the key for allowing more than just myself into the moment, this beautiful awareness birthed inside of me. Please try it. Try it immediately. The next time you can, give yourself space. Give others space. Now, don't forget about yourself either. Plan to meditate or pray with yourself. Take a bath, have some alone time, whatever it is that makes you feel better. Make feeling good one of the most important things in your day. I know that may come off as selfish, but there is a thin line between selfishness and self-full. When you're going to fill yourself, there is never a problem with that. We want to have so much energy, so much life, so much vibrance that every time somebody comes into our space, they can feel it, that we can share that with them. Now, if we're hurting somebody or stepping on somebody or putting somebody down so that we can feel better, that is selfishness. When we are deciding to put ourselves before someone else, that is selfishness. But remember, being full is never an issue. Always strive to be self full, to have yourself full of energy and love. Okay? Now, write things you're going to do this week for others and for yourself. Pause the video, take time, schedule that. Now, emotional stress management can be so much fun. This is one of those moments when I need for you to set aside any of your preconceived notions about what emotions are. So, or preconceived notions, excuse me, about what emotions are. We have been taught emotions from so many different factors. I know a lot of my teachers from grade school told me that I couldn't listen to my emotions, that I had to stuff my emotions down. I've seen people who stuff emotions down, and we need to come to a point in our society where we go salsa dancing with our anxiety and our depression, where we learn to love every emotion for what it is and what it brings to the table, because all of these emotions have these keys to unlock doors to who we really are, to open up these fantastic energies that we've been holding back because we may have felt ashamed or guilty or bad or angry, whatever the case might be. It's time to address these. It's time to look our fear in the eyes and do a little jig with it to have it become our partner and have it serve us instead of us continuing to serve it. So, this is when you get to evaluate what aspects of your being is driving you crazy and if you choose to continue it or not. Now, hone in on that for a second. This is your choice. You always have a choice of what you're going to think. Other things may be automatic, other things might be pre programmed, but you are always in control of your thoughts. Now, your intentions will guide you with this exercise because when you have a clear, conscious thought and you put that into an intention and you make a plan, now we just have to follow the regiment. Now we just have to stay in line with our intention, and our thoughts will be our first front of how we're going to continue to stay on to this. Now, what are your emotional goals? Is it being happy? Is it not reacting in certain ways? Write them down. What part of your emotional health do you want to see an improvement on? What are your emotional standards? Is it time to raise the bar? Now, these are big, big questions, and I hope you take time to reflect on them. When you enact a question, your frontal lobe takes over, it quiets the rest of your mind, and it allows for everything to connect and become in unison. Use this as an opportunity to look at where you want to be. What do you desire to have? And what do you desire to be like? You can take on mentors. You can take on even individuals that aren't even alive anymore. Albert Einstein, you can look at Thomas Jefferson. You can look at these people. You can look at their characters, their values, their emotional standards, and you can start to install them into what you would like to be. This is your choice. This is your life. This is your management strategy on how you're going to overcome these different obstacles. Here's some things for you to just chew on. Do you want more confidence, which entail means less doubt, acceptance, trust and faith, relaxation, less anxiety? Do you want more personal projects? What are your personal projects? Are they to become a millionaire? Are they to become the best family man that you can be or family woman? Is it to be the best wife or husband? Is it to be the best neighbor? What are those personal projects that you're working on? Is it to accomplish a certain goal that you've had since you were young? Solving the mysteries of life. Now, if you haven't been enthralled with life in a little while, I want you to look up a subject called the, the sacred geometry. This is a patternized geometric set of ability or of different things that create our reality and world around us. It is fascinating to know that there is literally geometric patterns that build together that make the hair grow on your kid's head, that allow a lotus flower to open, that allow things to grow, that give signals from the sun to our earth. It's fascinating. Take time for the mysteries of life. If you don't know how the internet works, how it's literally streaming through frequencies in the air, take a moment to go do some research. It's phenomenal, the things that we have at our fingertips. Now, write down how these feel. Try and get a good perspective on how you act, how you think when these emotions take over. The more aware you become, the easier it will be to realign with your intentions. Sometimes we're so automatic in our responses that we don't even realize that we've responded in that way. So now it becomes an awareness game to wake up that we've now chose that and we have a better choice, a better intention, and a better plan that we can follow. Financial stress. Now, this is a big one for every person, entity, organization, and even our government right now. In fact, the world right now. Now, first, let's take a deep breath. This too will pass. Look at your plan. Times like these give us an opportunity to learn something new. Every financial market has pros and cons. Now let's set your intentions in line with these. I want to share an example of a friend of mine. He's an amazing human being, incredible developer in the Denver, Colorado area. When the market crashed in 2008, he found an incredible niche where he could do this development. And it was actually target marketing and just phenomenal strategy that he put together. And he made a bunch of money, did great when everybody else was really having a hard time. And then he told me right about 2012 that he wasn't sure what he was going to do when the market got better because he had found such a great niche. But then he just realized that there was this whole other opportunity for him as the market grew. So now that the market is at a low point, there's tons of opportunity for all of us. And we don't have to do this alone. When was the last time you spoke with a financial planner? They love to give you free advice because they're hoping that you will choose to invest with them. Bring an expert in to assist you with your planning and then stick to your plan. You may have to cut back on going out to eat. You may have to cut back on taking multiple vacations just for a little while until things get back to normal or until this newfound opportunity catapults you into one of your previous intentions and plans. Even if at bare minimum, this moment helps you grow in being disciplined, then you have succeeded greatly in one of the challenges of life. Take a moment now and just write down what your financial plans are. Write down even your goals. And what I love to do with financial planning is to wave a magic wand and look at what it would be like to have millions of dollars, what it would be like to retire and have nothing to worry about, what it'd be like to have all of these things fall into place and then start working backwards from my dream. What steps do I need to take to get to that point? And then looking at day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year plans on how I can continue to make that dream a reality. So take a moment now, even if you need to start with a dream, and then you can share that dream with a financial planner later and how you can break that down and get to that point. So let's just recap a little bit here. We've gone on over how to recognize triggers and your emotional responses and how to deal with those and how to plan those and how to raise your awareness to where your intentions will guide you through that plan. We've looked at some stress relieving exercises, and I'm about to give you literal ones. But we've used planning and awareness as a big exercise, changing setbacks into challenges, looking into new opportunities, knowing that our emotions are really a big window for us to look through to where we can now start building with those. And now let's look at the practical guide to incorporating what you have learned. And that means looking at your plans, looking at everything you've written down so far. That's your practical guide. Looking at the moments now that you're going to take out every day to ensure that you are accomplishing your goals, that you're overcoming your stress, that you are accomplishing exactly what you want to be up to in your life and in your world. We've um, looked at automatic responses versus conscious responses. We've really dove into intentions and planning, and we've really taken the proper steps to stabilize our emotions. So let's look at each one of these exercises. Deep breathing and meditation. It is a proven fact that if you take 10 deep breaths, meaning that you breathe in and you feel all those lungs all the way down into your navel. If you do that 10 times in a row, you have now given so much oxygen to your body that your body is working at a higher level, that your mind has now calmed to a point where it's starting to synchronize its frequencies and waves. Meditation, in its definition, is getting to know yourself, is to cultivate yourself, which means when you close your eyes and you stop that sensory input and you take these deep breaths, that you have a moment to just be with who you are, to learn your thought patterns, to set your intentions, to be more of in line with who you are. Stretching. Stretching's huge. Breathing and stretching go hand in hand. If you don't know stretches, YouTube it, Google it. There are so many stretches out there. If you're having lower back pain, there are millions of stretches. Now do them gently and find the ones you like. Hold all these stretches. Breathe through these stretches. Incorporate healthy snacking. Look, I eat healthy, but it didn't start. I didn't start that way. I had to start by snacking healthy in between my meals, snacking with an apple or a banana or a handful of broccoli or carrots, whatever the case might be, incorporate it. Because a lot of people don't understand that your brain needs this to function. So, my recommendation is that you're eating every 2 to 4 hours. Snacking in between eating lowers your portions that you eat while you go to your meals, which helps with your digestive system, which helps with your metabolism, which helps with your brain clarity. Incorporate good snacking. Listen to calming music. Visualization. Okay, this is mind-blowing to me. They have done so many studies with this. They took a group of people, they took three groups. They isolated one and told them to do nothing, just go about their business. They took another group and they said, hey, we want you to go for an hour and learn these keys on a piano. And then they took another group and they said, we want you to look at these keys on a piano. Now we want you to visualize playing these keys over and over again for an hour every day. Then at the end of a few weeks, they took the people obviously that didn't do anything. They couldn't play the keys on or the keys on the piano. That was a give me. But then they took the people who actually physically practiced it and the people who visualized it. And what they found was as they were doing this, the same neurologic responses were happening in their mind, and they had just about the same outcome. The ones that literally physically practice and the ones that visualized it. They've done studies with this with athletes, athletes that sit and visualize what type of plays they want to do or how they want to see things happen, have 30% better results than somebody who just practices over and over and over again. Affirmations and journaling. If you're not familiar with affirmations, that's okay, because I want to take affirmations to another level and I want to call them cantizations. And Tony Robbins is the one who really has made this a big thing. And what incantations are is when you're doing your affirmations, you feel them, you step into them. So if one of your affirmations is that you are going to be successful and happy, wealthy, and wise, that you're not just saying those over and over again, you're feeling them, you're moving into that. I used to do this a lot before I would start teaching a class. I would say, I'm the best teacher. I'm going to give everybody exactly what they need to know. I'm going to connect with them on a level that even I don't know. And they're going to get things from me that I don't even know I'm giving them because I'm the best teacher. So my affirmation was the best teacher, but my incantations were all the things I'm going to do to ensure that that comes to be. Journaling is a great way to just be completely honest with yourself, to just put your thoughts down. They call it free writing. When you just brain dump everything, it can really be relieving. It can really release a lot of stress, and then it can give you a certain awareness, because then you can look back at what you just wrote and you can say, wow, do I really believe that? Is that something that's serving me? Is that something I want to continue with? And it's just a fantastic way to release. Smile and laugh. I'm a huge proponent of funny movies. I want to watch something that's going to make me feel better. I want to be a part of something that's going to crack me up. And so I hold on to certain nuggets that just make me roll laughing. I hold on to certain memories that happened. I'll never forget my oldest son one time took off running and ran right into a jungle gym. And it was one of the funniest things ever. Please don't judge me as a parent for that, but he thought it was hilarious too. But these small moments that make you smile and laugh have a huge effect on overcoming stress, have a huge effect on your body and the frequency it's putting out. We talked about exercise. Exercise is the number one way to exert energy, to get energy out. Exercise looks like so many different things for so many different people. Hitting a punching bag, going for a walk, going for a run, lifting weights, doing push-ups, doing any type of exercise is so good for your heart, for your health, for stress. It's so good to get that energy out. Now, you may not know this, but sleeping plays a huge factor into your stress. If you need to schedule a nap, if you're not getting enough sleep during the day, look at different ways that you can give your mind and body rest. Spend time with friends and family, especially right now. You guys, thanks to technology, we have the ability to have multiple people in one channel on one thing. We can use Zoom. Zoom is free. You can use Skype. You can use all these things. My friends and I get together. We're looking at once a week, maybe even moving that to 2 times a week because they're so funny. They crack me up, and I love spending time with them. So I can't spend it face to face with them. That's okay. You know, the other day we cheersed each other through our Zoom meeting. It's so important to have this connection. Games, play games, have fun. When was the last time you played a game? When was the last time you just said, for the next hour or two, we're going to do nothing other than have fun and play a game? Pick games that are exciting. Pick people to play the games that make it more fun. Try and avoid those competitive people that make everything a little bit more intense than they should be. Have fun with it. And mindfulness. If you're not familiar with mindfulness, I encourage you to look it up immediately. Mindfulness is a type of meditation, is a type of visualization. It's being present in the moment to where there's nothing else, nowhere else you want to be. You just want to be right there. One of the easiest mindfulness things to do is the next time you brush your teeth, don't think of anything else other than brushing your teeth. Think about how you're cleaning your teeth. Think about the different ways that this helps you, helps your breath smell better, helps lower cholesterol, helps do all these wonderful things. Be present to just brushing your teeth. That's it. You will be surprised at what it's like to be in the moment. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it the grateful moment. Now, take a moment. Write 10 fun and stress relieving things you will do in the next 5 days. Yes, that means I'm insinuating you're going to pick 2 things a day that's going to relieve your stress or make you feel better, bring enjoyment or happiness to your life. Do that now. Okay, let's take a quick dive deep into something. Now, I got this information from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I highly recommend that if any of this touches you or resonates with you, that you YouTube him, that you pick up one of his books, that you look into this, because this philosophy, this understanding of quantum physics is literally changing our entire existence. So let's go into a certain little aspect of this. Thoughts lead and dictate your perception of situations. We've already been alluding to this. We've already been talking a lot about how thoughts are our key conscious point to follow our plan of action, to be aligned with our intentions, to establish our emotional stability in what we're doing. Sustained perceptions become attitudes. Prolonged attitudes form moods. Moods create your personality, and your personality sculpts your personal reality. Beautiful, right? If you want, pause and reread that, because that shows the progression of how you have now become who you are. It has really, this simple formula shows how we can literally change every aspect of what we're doing. Your brain responds by releasing chemicals that stimulate cells. The chemicals tell your cells what to do. It can be that we're in a fight or flight situation, or that it's time to rest and relax and heal. Your cells have receptors for these chemicals and will produce more receptor sites based on the frequency of exposure to that chemical. So over time, your brain has attempted to make life easier by remembering perceptions and emotional reactions automatically. So when you have a thought, your brain automatically begins to send out the chemical signal to your cells. Try it right now. Think of a time when you were very irritated, angry, frustrated, or even got into a physical altercation. Do you feel your muscles swelling? Is your mind and heart beginning to race? Okay, now take a deep breath, and now I want you to think of one of the happiest days of your life: graduation, your wedding, family vacation, child being born, a big promotion, etc. Remember the details about that moment. Do you feel a wave of happiness come over you? Nothing changed in your physical reality for either of these moments, but the thought of the event triggered your mind to release chemicals that produced the emotional response that made your body react. So, in other words, our actions, feelings, and attitudes follow the mind's thought. Something to chew on here as you're putting all of this together and as you're working through this. Now, in conclusion, no one is impervious to stress. So grab it and start managing it. Start becoming the number one process control that you are, the processor, the controller of your stress. Enjoy it for what it is. And when certain stresses come up, evaluate them, make your intention, make your plan, and go to town. Reference your action plan and set your time and alarm. Be gentle with yourself and outwit your pre programmed responses. Just continue to work on it. Don't ever be upset if you succumb to one of your prior experiences or automatic responses. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Look at why that happened. Plan a little bit better. And then take that step forward. Don't get stuck in it. And don't beat yourself up, because it is you who is going to guide yourself out of this. Now, it's a constant and continuous process, much like quality control and assessment. So don't give up. You can get there. And remember, the way this works is that what you're doing now will eventually become your pre-programmed response, and you will wake up into a moment where you're responding the way you want to. You're handling situations and stress the way you desire it to be. And that will be the day when you now take out another chunk, a bigger dream, and start working towards a bigger desire. So I hope today's um, presentation has really helped you shift your mind into knowing that there is a bigger, greater opportunity in stress management. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I hope you enjoyed it.